A man that needs no introduction in the roofing industry. Dmitry Lipinskiy, welcome to the Tiger Den.
Oh, absolutely, brother. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. I have a lot of questions listed for you today. Probably not the most common questions you get in podcasts, but I really want to dive into who the heck is Dmitry Lipinskiy? I want to take it back to when you first moved here, and you are from Russia. Is that right?
Siberia, Russia, yes.
Okay. What's the difference of Siberia, Russia?
Extremely cold. So it's colder than Canada. So like I'm in Minnesota right now, and it's snow. I'll give you a story for perspective. My dad moved here in 2015. I moved my parents here, and to this day, my dad keeps telling everyone how nice the weather is here. He's like, oh, I can't believe how nice Minnesota is, how nice winters are, right? So I've experienced minus 87 Fahrenheit on my body. Like we could get snow in June. Like the weather we have right now in April that everybody is going crazy about, we could get that in June. So we have 8-9 months winter, extremely cold. You can get snow in June, you can get snow in September. So that's Siberia. Also, in the wintertime, you have very short day. Like I would say 2-3 p.m. it's dark, like dark.
Wow.
So you don't have enough oxygen. People are sleepy all the time. Actually, it's not only Russia, Siberia, it's all northern countries like Scandinavians and stuff. So if you study depression rate and stuff, it's always been higher than the rest of the world, which is, opposite of Hawaii. If you study, happiest nations on earth, that actually people who exposed to sun, because sun, vitamin D, makes you smile, makes you happy, but lack of sun makes you moody. So that's the reason why Russians don't smile. People always say, like, why Russians never smile? Well, nothing to smile about. We don't have enough sun. It's always dark, and you don't have enough oxygen. So you're always sleepy. So, like, if you live in Scandinavian country, you have to take vitamin D, those pills. Like, actually, it's a must-have. Otherwise, you'll be moody, you'll be depressed. You cannot fight your body, how it, reacts to what's outside. So very gray, very cold, very dark place, if you will. So when I was a teenager, I told my parents, like, I don't see myself here. I don't want to spend the rest of my life in Siberia. And, I got out as soon as I could.
Take me back. So you said you moved your parents here in 2015, but you were here before then, weren't you?
Yeah, I moved to the United States when I was 22 years old. I dropped out of university. I was a history major in Russia. I always wanted to be a teacher. And they have this program, a student exchange program, when you can come to the United States, work for a summer in summer camp, and then go back and then come back every summer. It was a good gig for a lot of students, international students, right? Good money. I mean, at that time, I made $1,500 in the first 3 months in the United States. Actually, it was pretty good gig, right? Like I did not have that opportunity back in Russia. Here, paying $500 a month to a student from another country who can hustle. That's what you see in water parks and a lot of areas that have a lot of tourists. So it's a good business for the United States, but it's also a good gig for any student who wants to come and make quick bucks. You see it on the cruise ships. You see it, everywhere where you have to work long hours, kind of chasing the dream. It's a good exchange. So that's how I got here. So I got here legally, on a plane. I worked for 3 months. I got a visa to travel after that for another month, and then I decided to stay. So because you enter country legally, your status expires, but you can apply to exchange. You can hey, I want to work a little bit more. So I started my process. I got denied. Then later I got married. So little complicated process, but that was my journey. Come here as a student, work in a summer camp, stay here, try to legalize, find a way to get papers, and live the dream later.
So you moved from Siberia, Russia to Minnesota directly? Have you been there the entire time?
No, I came. The camp that I came to was Eagle River, Wisconsin. Population 1,500. It's like 6 hours from here. It's between Illinois and Minnesota right now. And so I came there. I worked summertime. 3 months in that camp, and then they provided you a bus to Chicago, out of all places, because a lot of campers, a lot of people were from Chicago. So a Greyhound bus to Chicago, and then I actually started my journey in Chicago. I spent first 6 months after the camp in Chicago. Then I found good old childhood friend who used to live in Minnesota, well, still live in Minnesota. I moved from Chicago to Minnesota, met my future wife here. We got married here. Then I moved to Atlanta, Georgia, spent there 6 years. And then 12 years ago, I moved back to Minnesota to be closer to her family.
So her family is from Minnesota then?
Yeah. My wife is also Russian, but all her family lives here. And they moved with entire family. I moved as a student. Her family moved with brothers, sisters, uncles. I mean, they have 40 people. It was complete relocation of the family. So she has a little bit different story. I've been here a little bit longer than me. She came here, she was 13. I came here, I was 22. Funny enough, I still lived most of my life in Russia. I spent 22 years in Russia and 19 years. Actually, June 4th this year, going to be 20 years in the United States. Still lived majority of my life in Russia. In a couple of years, it's going to change.
Did you know how to speak English before you moved here, or was it broken English?
Very broken
very
English.
Basic, very broken. Yeah.
I learned my first English word when I was 21, 1 year before moving. So it took me 1 year to pick enough language to pass the interview, because you have to go to embassy, you have to speak with a ambassador, pretty much to grant you a visa, you have to speak language. And that was a big test, and I passed.
That's wild. I traveled abroad, Dmitry, in India for 4 months when I was in college. And in India, a lot of people speak English there enough to communicate, but there's so many languages in India if you've ever been there. But I cannot imagine living in a country that I do not know the language and trying to speak and to relate to the people. That's got to be a very, from your perspective, is that the number one thing to get your feet under, to speak the language and kind of communicate with people? It's got to be a huge task.
I think it's all about your drive. It's not as much as a language. It's being lonely in another country. It's a culture shock. It's not having friends and family. When I moved here, I did not know anyone. The friend that I found here in Minnesota, he was the only and I found him 6 months later, right? You can't just drop on your childhood friend's hands hey, take care of me, right? He doesn't owe you anything. So in that sense, when you don't have relatives, when you don't have friends, and there are a lot of people like that in the United States, I think it builds the strongest character. I think you can only do it a few times in life. A lot of students that, I salute people who move to another country. Usually it's Western world, Canada, United States, Germany, right? From countries that, at war, or Asia. I mean, there's many places where political instability happening, and they have to flee the country to survive. Imagine packing. I mean, I think I actually have it easier than a lot of people I've met in my life. I was student, I was by myself, I lived in a car for months, but I at least didn't have little kids with me. I still did not, the movie A Pursuit of Happiness, do you remember the scene when he's in the bathroom with his son? Makes you want to cry when you see that, right? But I did not experience that because I did not have a kid on my hands. I could sleep in the bathroom, I could sleep in the park at night, and I think it's okay when you're a 22-year-old, male in your prime, you will be fine. You will not die. I mean, it's tough, it's a cool story, but you will be okay. But I see people who move with little kids, with the teenagers. I mean, try to be in their shoes. It's tough.
When you were preparing the move to come over here, were you watching American movies to find out the culture? Second question to that, what was the biggest culture shock when you got here? Because the cultures are, I would assume, very different.
Yeah. So I study English by books, you watch movies, you talk to people, right? The funny part about the United States, the funny thing is, if you ask yourself why everyone in the world trying to get in here, right? And I would answer is Hollywood, because it's a biggest advertising. People watch movies and they attract to it. Dream is built in you. Like once you watch something, you want to become a part of it. So people see this American dream thing and they're like, oh, I'll go to Hollywood and I'll become an actor. They don't realize how hard it's going to be and what it actually takes. But the dream is born when you consume that kind of content. So of course I was watching movies. I was watching Friends and learning actual English by watching Friends and translating Eminem songs. Eminem was very popular back in 2004. And for me, Eminem was like God, right? So I would print all his songs and try to translate it. But the thing about it is, you watch, you learn, you aspire, you want to go there. But when you come here, what you don't realize is the biggest shock for me was the pace of life. The pace in the United States is 10 times faster than in Mexico and Venezuela, in Russia, in China, everywhere, right? People here, you go 5 a.m. to work, you see cars passing you, like on the highway with the 6 lanes, gonna be busy. 5 a.m. You're not gonna see that in Moscow. You're not gonna see it in, maybe in Moscow, a bigger city, but in most countries of the world, people don't start this early. Like America does have this hustle mentality where you have to work if you want to have something. And that's the biggest shocker. When you see, like, you go to the gym, I go to CrossFit gym right now, right? 5:30 in the morning, there's 20 people because they have jobs to do. They work out before, right? I went to Italy just 3 weeks ago. The earliest class at CrossFit, they have CrossFit gyms there. The earliest class, there's 5 gyms, CrossFit gyms at Rome. The earliest class I could find was 7 a.m. Where in the United States, it's always 5:30, 6. Most gyms all around, it's 5 a.m. In Italy, it's 7. It's 2 hours difference. So that's the pace for you. And 2 hours is a big difference in the lifestyle.
Not to mention the appetite for success here. I don't know if you feel this way. I'm sure you do. That when you become an entrepreneur, and that's very much a part of the American fabric, it just feels like you're never doing enough because there's so many people doing things. So it's like you got to keep up with the pace. So it's a challenge to reward your successes, but also not lose pace with everybody else, in my opinion, because you want to be successful in your realm of influence. And so it's a constant driver to have people around you and surround yourself with successful people, because you can never truly make it to the top. And that's just American culture of what are you reinventing? What are you doing new? I'm sure you feel that today.
True. That's one driver. But I would say that's not what drives immigrants. Immigrants look at it differently. So immigrants don't compare themselves. I don't compare myself to Americans. And for many, many years, first 10 years, like maybe now I look what, like even like on YouTube, I see what other YouTubers are doing, like in all the spaces, right? But early on, what drives immigrant is opportunity and buying power. I'll give you an example. My mom, when she got here, when she realized that she can make, $170, $200 in 3-4 hours by cleaning homes, that people actually pay her, and with a smile on their faces, like, oh, here's $200, right? When my mom realized she can make, $3,000 in 1 week cleaning homes, like you don't have those opportunities in other countries, like even in the roofing space, right? So we have this culture where people call themselves hustlers. In the roofing industry, we have this hustle culture, hustle mentality where people call themselves, I'm a hustler, I do this to work 24/7, right? I always laugh at it. I'm like, oh, really? You think you're a big shot because you can sell $20,000, right? Go to China, go to Venezuela, go to Mexico and try to sell someone $20,000 roof. The only reason why you're successful is because people are easy to sell to, and because they can write $20,000 check, on the handshake sometimes, even without signing contract, because buying power is there. So that's why you're successful, because there's so many people are willing to pay. And even if you screw them, that's why we have so many scammers. Even if you screw them or you're not honest, a lot of people not going to even chase like couple $1,000s, right? Try to do that in India. Try to do it in Europe. So yes, we hustle, but if we're honest with ourselves, it's easy to be an entrepreneur in the United States, mainly because people are willing to swipe their cards. You can start TikTok shop today and make couple videos, and people start paying you for whatever it is you're asking. It's crazy. You don't have those. So when immigrants come here, they see that. They see the value that they can provide. You can do absolutely anything. Clean homes, do hardwood floors, clean windows, you name it. You can become a business owner, and people will pay you if you're good at what you do.
Yeah. In India specifically, the negotiating culture there is you negotiate for absolutely everything. So
don't you hate it?
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. So imagine, so I get to India, okay, and the first time I walked down the street and I was like, I want to look the part of an Indian person. I want to live the culture. So I go down the street from my place and there's a shoe shop. It's like a little shanty with a bunch of shoes, hundreds of shoes. I was like, I'll take a pair of shoes. They were like, hey, it's going to cost you 200 rupees. 200 rupees is the equivalent of about $4, $6. And so I was like, sure, shoes for $6, sure, I'll buy it. So I thought I had the money in my pocket. So I pull out rupees out of my pocket and all I had was 40 rupees. Okay. So I said to the shop owner, I said, oh my God, I want these shoes. I might have to come back to you, but I don't have it right now. So I start walking away from the shop. The woman runs me down and says, hey, I'll take the 40 rupees for the shoes. That's the equivalent of less than $1. So I said, that was the first eye-opening thing to, okay, I'm going to be treated very differently here, and I have to negotiate for absolutely everything, and that's part of the fabric of the culture. So when I deal with Indian people in America, they do not change. They do not assimilate to the culture. They don't overpay for anything, if you know Indian customers. And knowing that response, I can kind of talk to them better. It's still very hard to sell to Indians just because they're very, very cost conscious. But yeah, that's just part of the culture. So let's dive into that. So the fitness thing, I wanted to talk to you about fitness. You got into fitness. I've seen you in person many times and you are jacked. But that journey hasn't been forever. So when did that start and how has that impacted your life as an entrepreneur?
I took a big break when I started my entrepreneurship journey. So I always been fit. I always been in sports. So like in college, I played basketball, I played soccer. I ran 100 meter, 200 meter, 400 meters. I was super fast. I was athletic, but I've never did a bodybuilding. I've never went to like traditional gym. But I also like bars. Like in Russia, when you grew up on the street, a few things that every, how do you call it? Pretty much every set of buildings in Russia will have kind of a playground with a pull-up bar and some kind of dips bars, right? And most boys, that's where they're going to spend their time. They're going to literally play games. We will play a ladder, like 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, who's going to get to the most of pull-ups, right? And that's how I grew up. So kind of like, street fitness, if you will. But then when I came to the United States, I actually have a pull-up bar in Georgia when we lived. I always worked out, I always ran. But when I start my business, I have a lifetime fitness membership. And I remember for a long time, I just didn't go. Business takes over you. And actually, back in 2018, 17, 18, I hit this crisis where, I was depressed, because business takes over you. You feel like it's not a life. to build a business first couple of years. You go all in, you start at 5 a.m, you work until 9 o'clock. People know the hustle, right? So I didn't have life first couple of years building a roofing company. I was depressed. And I remember I was so depressed, almost like suicidal depressed, where you don't know if you want this anymore. You're like, is this it? Is like this business? Is this what I get? The all financial stress and responsibility and liability. And I remember I recommitted to the gym, and I said, no matter what, I will never skip the gym. I don't care what's on fire. I don't care what the day brings. My day starts at the gym. So it was back in 2018. I joined a CrossFit gym. I want to say 2017. I was on and off. So I joined for 2 months. It was too hard. That's how my fitness level in 2017 was. I used to go to the gym here. So they have 4 locations, 150, 200 men, lots of girls. Like, I was probably second from the bottom among girls. Like, when I was working out and I see girls, moms next to me doing snatches or kettlebells, I'm like, what is this? How come she can move faster than me? I was out of breath. And, if I would do a couple burpees or a couple snatches, like typical movements, functional movements, I would be out of breath. And my fitness level did not exist. I was embarrassed what I have become, because I've never been, that worst of the shape. Outside, I was just tall and skinny, but no engine, no cardio. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do this for a couple of years every day. I just committed to do CrossFit every day, and I did. So now, 7 years later, I'm probably top 5 guys at that gym. I have membership of 2 CrossFit gyms, and I still have lifetime membership, because when I travel a lot, I go to sauna and stuff. So I always work out. Like, I don't skip gym anymore. This is like the foundation for everything. I'm a firm believer that in what we do as entrepreneurs, you have to have the strong body. Even if you're just dumb YouTuber, you still have to stand, walk, run. You're on your feet all day long. You still lift stuff randomly, moving a table, moving a bundle of shingle, loading stuff to your truck from Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever the case, or Costco. It requires functional movements. And if you're not prepared for it, dude, you will struggle physically. So it's number one since 2018. And also, on top of all of that, my best days are the days where I go in the morning to the gym, you work out. Like, I found for myself personally, I'm the most creative after the workout. It's something with your blood rushes to your brain, right? You go, you work out, you wake up. So especially if you do it early on. I work out 5:30 in the morning to 6:30. Then I do quick sauna session, quick cold plunge session. By 8 o'clock, I'm pumped. I'm ready to conquer. That was my routine this morning. And guess what? I'm ready for anything. It's the hardest thing you're going to do in a day. You get it off, and then you're creative. You're ready to go. You're pumped. You're focused. I don't know how people do it who don't exercise and don't work out.
Is that your engine? You mentioned just a few minutes ago, like being in the top 5 of your gym before being at the bottom. How I perceive you in business, Dmitry, is you have a very strong engine to be the best at anything that you put your mind to. Is that the main driver for you? And secondarily to that, like, do you think that comes from the immigrant mentality of moving here with nothing and then becoming great?
I'm a firm believer that we grow when our goals grow. Like, if you don't have a goal, like, it's all about a journey. It's all about achieving something. I absolutely love Arnold Schwarzenegger journey and book. So there's a documentary on Netflix. If you follow his journey, he started with bodybuilding, right? Achieved everything. And then at one point, it doesn't make sense to do it anymore. So he became actor. And the first couple of years in anything is going to be tough. But I feel like we'll lose interest when there's nothing else to do. There's studies been made about who lives the longest, like as far as like professions and sports. And one of the categories, people who collect things, have the biggest drive for life, because you will never end. If you're collecting or selecting, like if you have a journey that never ends, that's why scientists in that category, if you spend the rest of your life learning chemistry, for example, or something about the space, right, you will never reach the end. Because it's not possible. For the rest of your life, you will try to discover new things, and Well, the same for me. When you keep increasing, one of the reasons I sold my roofing company, because it was not driving me anymore. I figured, like, even building $100 million company would not, I'm not a money driven person, and I really mean it. Yeah. Like, if you build $10 million company, you will build 20 or 30 or 40, right? Like, once you figure it out, you lose interest. And I see a lot of guys like that, a lot of entrepreneurs. They build it, they either sell it later or they move to something else. And the reason, or they bring partners, right? That's how we wired. So you have to keep increasing your goals. The target has to keep moving. Otherwise, you become complacent. Once you become complacent, you kind of not only lose the drive, you lose the taste for life. Like what's the purpose? Wake up and do what? Like, I want to fix what's broken. I want to fix the biggest problems. I want to go after something that super hard that not many people want to do it. Like, that's what I did.
Yeah. I totally I vibe with that, because when I first started a business, and maybe you were the same way, the original goal is like, I want to be self-sufficient. I want to make a bunch of money. I want to put a bunch of people to work. I want to do all these things. And then once you actually succeed in that, it's the same mentality as what you had exposed earlier. It's like, is this all there is? Is this all it is just making money? It becomes this thing where I'm very big into community and my family. And that has become my focus now, because building a business is somewhat fragile and somewhat empty to the maximum extent. Like, I have no goals to build a $100 million company or $50 million company. It's just not in my cards. And I'm totally okay with that. And I think that entrepreneurs that really, entrepreneurship is kind of an expose about yourself. It's a mirror that shows you who you are as a human being. And so once you actually start making money and become self-sufficient and you have the things that you've wanted, it's like, what's next? What do I want to accomplish? It's a much larger picture than just money making, which is just, it's fleeting.
Yes, I agree with you. Well, it's you build lifestyle business, and I built my lifestyle business. And for me, it's like, I don't care, like, about expensive cars, like Bugatti, Ferrari, Lambos. Never, like, funny thing, like, someone rented one for me. I drove it for a day. Like, actually, I have a full day with the car. It was Lambo. And I drove it for 40 minutes and say, you can pick it up. I don't care. I'm the most practical guy you will meet, right? Like,
You didn't film any, like, Andrew Tate videos in the back of the Lambo or anything?
It's not practical. You sit so low. It's not comfortable. The mirrors are too small. It's too loud. I just cannot stand it. I'm like, my favorite car is Mercedes-Benz, but only because, not for the status, because it's smooth. You drive there, you don't think about the world, right? I drive Jeep Wagoneer because it's big, nice, and smooth. Like, it's functional. I love minivans for that reason, because it's functional. Same. Open doors, like, they're just nice.
Yes. Yes. My wife and I have a minivan, Toyota Sienna. It's a fantastic vehicle.
That's what we have,
especially with kids. Yes. Let's go back to something you mentioned earlier about scammers in the roofing industry. I don't want to dive into specifics, but what I thought about in preparing for this interview was, I personally have a very low appetite for drama. If there's situations where there's friction, I like to end it as fast and as amicably as possible. You live in that realm in a lot of ways. And in a lot of ways, you're kind of like the voice box. You're like the speaker box for people who have gotten scammed. That's what you've become, of like, share your story with Dmitry and he'll help you. And so when you have people that come to you and we're talking about this stuff, does that keep you up at night? Or is this something you've just become accustomed to and can live with living in the Maury Povich type, like, reality of, like, having scammers, exposing scammers, or talking to homeowners who have been screwed? You've gotten used to that over time, I'm sure.
Well, I build by name over it, and now it comes to you. Like, I would say I turn down 95% of stories that come to you. Like, the problem in our industry, that it's epidemic out there, how many people take advantage of others. And I'm surprised how many people are okay with it or don't do anything with it. I don't understand it. Like, if you come and you steal $3,000 from me, right? I'm not gonna move on. Like, $3,000 is a lot of money for me. Sometimes I will not take my kids somewhere, or like, think about this. Like, if you fly with your kids, you can go first class or you can go main cabin. Sometimes we'll go main cabin because it's extra $3,000, right? But then someone scams you and you're like, okay, I'll move on. Cost of business. What do you mean? No, $3,000 is $3,000. I can put that to use. I can do something nice for my family. I can buy my wife a nice gift. No, I'm gonna come after it, and So the thing about scammers is, I'm a firm believer that you have to stand up for yourself. You cannot just be a loser who's like, all right, you got me. That's one. Number two, the main reason why I do what I do is because I want them to stop. Like, I don't cover stories that already kind of got, done deal. I usually cover stories that are in the making. So if I see someone scamming people and he needs to be exposed, media is very, very powerful. And I understand that I have that power. So when someone comes to me and say, Dmitry, this guy did this to me. So if I see someone is about to go out of business and they're collecting checks from the homeowners, because when you read those stories, I mean, think about this. If you're the homeowner and you got scammed for $12,000 for a brand new roof, you will not be able to replace a roof. You're not going to just go and make another $12,000. Right. It's going to be devastating for you. I don't understand how people can sleep at night doing that to others. I mean, there's so many players in the industry. So I have that power that I can run a story and end that business. And I've ended 5-6 scammers to the point where they're done. They're canceled. There's nothing they can do. Nobody will buy from them. So I have that tool. Does it make me a drama queen? Probably. Some people look at it that way, and I'm okay with it. Because every time I call someone out, there are gonna be people who are not okay with that content, who is gonna say, "Well, why picking up fights?" But I feel like those people are selfish, and they're not thinking about victims. They're not thinking about the people who actually lost something, and they're also not thinking about future victims. Right. I'll give you one example. One of the very first guys, his name was Joshua Waxman. He scammed 150 roofers. He actually said, like, hey, I asked him, how many clients do you have? He's like, over 150. So he did a couple $100,000, charging people $2,000-$3,000 a piece, right? Going from Facebook group to Facebook group to Facebook group. And at the end, I asked him, I said, can you give me 3 people who are happy with you? 3 people who actually can say, I gave him money and he delivered results. He gave me 2. He could not come up with a 3. And out of 2, none of them would actually recommend him. One guy said he's still waiting on the results, but he believes that he will deliver. And another guy somehow got $60,000 job from $3,000 he spent on leads. So he gave him 10 appointments and one of them turned into $60,000 job. That's why he was happy. And I said, would you do it again? He's like, absolutely not. I just got lucky, right? So, and that's out of 150 people. But think about this. Yeah. If I would not run a piece on him, if I would not go and, expose him, could it be 300 roofers, 500 roofers? Probably.
Good point. You're like the big brother. You're like, are you familiar with Candace Owens' work at all, Dmitry?
Yeah.
Candace Owens is, I love listening to her content for many different reasons, but Candace Owens is just fearless when it comes to calling people out and making sure the facts are straight. And I see you much the same way in the roofing industry, where it's like, yeah, don't do that or you're about to be exposed on a national level. Let's take it to this. And I don't want to get into the Lee hate stuff, but it was a massive story last year or the year before. I can't remember the exact time frame.
Sure.
What was a good thing that came out of that? Besides the exposing, I don't want to get into those details, but what was something that was really good that came from that you and Lee, there had to be some moments where you guys actually talked to each other during the boxing match or after the boxing match that came from that?
No, I don't think he learned his lesson. So the good thing was he stopped. So he was running so many Facebook ads. It was so annoying. Like he was... Lee Haight has a lot of lawsuits coming his way already. So he was selling to roofers this dream, how, blue collar dream. His average ticket was $60,000. I know at least 5 people who's trying to get it back who never got anything. Imagine you paying someone $60,000 and not getting anything in return. Like that was the reality. So what happened was, I called him out. He actually offered me $60,000, if you know. And of course, after the fight, he actually, his right hand, the girl who was at the fight, offered me to donate that for Lee to donate it to the charity. And I said, no, that's not the agreement. I'm not going to accept it because I don't trust the guy. So he never donated anywhere. I never got it. But people were calling him out. So the good thing, what happened is he stopped scamming roofers. He stopped his courses. As a matter of fact, people stopped giving him money, and he's no longer how do I call it? He's no longer a coach in the roofing space. He's no longer running his conference. He's no longer doing his events. He's no longer selling his $60,000 ticket because he exposed himself by doing all of that. Himself. And that was the logical ending. Because here's what people don't realize. Lee Haight, in all the years he've been in business, he've never been profitable, ever. He's been losing money since in 2008.
How do you know that?
Study him, and also he publicly admits in 2018 he did $10 million in sales and he lost $1 million. But since 2018 he never recovered. So he has not sellable business. He cannot sell. How do I know it? Legal paperwork. I'll give you one example. So he tried to expand to Connecticut. It's actually we're about to publish a video. There's a homeowner who won $200,000 against the company who owns by Lee Haight. So Lee Haight invested in Ricky Suthers, New Connecticut, and they screwed so many homeowners that the Attorney General went after them. Dude, they cannot pay. Imagine this. Imagine homeowner giving you $3,500 deposit for skylight. You cannot proceed the job for 6 months, and they have to file a police report and go to Attorney General to get their money back. I mean, does someone who makes $50 million a year in business, who makes money, cannot afford to pay back $3,500 deposit? I mean, things like that. So it's in the paperwork. It's a legal paperwork. If you study court cases, investments, talk to business partners, all of that stuff. So Lee Haight, and I also know his book. So I have a lot of insights on Lee Haight's company. For 10 years, the guy never made money in business, losing every year. The only money he was trying to make is selling $60,000 courses. And this was the problem with the roofing industry. You can be absolute loser. How can you sell a course, how to be successful in business in 2018 for him, and losing $1 million a year? Your negative worth is in negative millions. It's crazy. It's a scam. It's fraud. It's only possible in our world, but numbers don't lie, man. People do.
From a sales perspective, I follow Lee on Instagram, and from a video perspective and from a Hale perspective, I've actually taken some things that Lee has done and put it into my business. From the some of the inspections and how he kind of goes about some things. I do respect certain things about Lee, not from this perspective, but from his willingness to step out and do things different. I do respect that. But how he runs his business, I understand the complications there. But
would you pay him $60,000 for that knowledge?
No. But I can watch the free stuff and just mimic it, right? So in some senses, I think Lee is kind of a trendsetter in our industry, or has been a trendsetter previously in our industry in certain ways. It's sad to me that when people do this, it's sad to me. I hate to hear about it because it puts a blemish on the entire roofing industry that we have to recover from, that roofers are not trustworthy. And that sucks.
Well, I think here's the biggest beef between me and Lee Haight. So I call him out on his lies, right? Like I said, dude, you're lying. Owens, what's your name? Owens. You talked about her earlier.
Candice.
Oh,
Candice Owens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she does fact checks, right? I do fact checks. So I call Lee on his lies. And in my world, beef stops when someone accepts their wrongdoings. If Lee Haight would say, you know what, I've made a mistake, this was wrong, I lied about it, all you have to do is just accept the wrongdoings, right? Instead, we did not have to fight. If Lee Haight would say, Dmitry, you're right, I'm wrong, I should not have done. I agree that Lee Haight has some good stuff. I agree that he has some good content, right? But he's also done a lot of bad stuff. I mean, when you, like, I'll give you one example. What would happen if you go and create a video how you made 10 multimillionaires, right? So, like, if you watch that video, I actually talked, like, I literally dialed and called every single person in that video. No, like, those people don't give him credit. It's a lie. 5 people from that video would never do business with him again and would tell you he did not make the multimillionaires. Like, it's a lie to sell $60,000 course, right? So all you have to do is just admit you're wrong, say, you know what, I lied, I went overboard. And the same with me. If I go right now and say, you know, I made someone $10 million, Ben, how would you feel if I said I made Roof Tiger $10 million or 5, like he's a multimillionaire because of me? Are you going to be okay with it? Probably not. Yeah. So, but all you have to do is just admit your wrongdoing.
Yeah. I will say though, Dmitry, and this is giving you your flowers, you've influenced me tremendously in the roofing space and how you've gone about your business. And I tell this to people off camera and on camera, like you were a massive influence to me in the very beginning when I found your videos. And when I started Roof Tiger, I saw that there was a very much a lack of content in the roofing space, and especially here where I'm from. So I was like, I'm just going to adopt these same ideas and do these things. And then when you came here to Peoria, Illinois, number one, it was kind of like my coming out party, not only for the roofing community, but for myself, because I felt legitimate having been interviewed by you. I put you on such a pedestal. Watching your content, I was like, this is a very exciting thing for me. So first of all, I just want to thank you for that. Because
thank
you. It was a very big deal for me at the time. And that video, I mean, and having me on stage at Roofing Process, like I can't thank you enough for putting me on. I want to say that to you personally, but also just for my business. It was such a big deal for me. And that video, by the way, if you Google Roof Tiger, it pops up like one of the first times. And so to do that, for you to do that at the level that you were at the time, for me as a nobody, was a massive boost for the start of our company. So thank you.
I love it. No, I love your brand, and that's why we came. You know, I love recognizing talent.
Let's dive into Roofing Insights. So you started Roofing Insights in the mid 2010 to 2020 range, right?
Yeah, it was 2016, 17.
16. Content in those days was infant. It was still in infancy. YouTube had grown from early 2000s to what it was at that point, but still, businesses were not promoting their content as surely not as much as they are now. So what convinced you that that was the right path to take? And like, how did you break into the YouTube space?
A lot of research, budget. I did not have money to be on the radio. I did not have money to be on TV. It was cheap. Like actually, first couple of videos I filmed and I published myself. I edited everything myself. And I wanted to get business. So my first YouTube channel was Storm Group Roofing, my roofing company. And first couple jobs I get from it, that was from those days. Like people would call me. My first 3 hits from 2016. So the YouTube channel number one was 2015 to 2016 was Storm Group Roofing. And it was a shingle guide who makes the best shingles. It was a gutter guide who makes the best gutter covers. And it was a siding guide, like LP Smart Side versus James Hardy. It was my life. I was selling siding jobs. I was selling gallery jobs. And people were asking me questions. I'm like, you know, I cannot talk to everyone, but, you know, I start doing it and it worked. You knock at the door, not knock at the door. You go to the appointment and people like, hey, I've seen your video and I was going to go with this product, but you convinced me with the James Hardy, right? So I start taking orders because of YouTube channel. And I believed early on that it's going to be big, that it's going to be, you know, when I started, I remember the largest YouTube channel, that's how competitive I am. The largest YouTube channel at that time was JF, 5,500 subs. I'm like, I'm going to bypass them. And it took me 2 years. I bypassed, I think, I had 11,000 and they have like 10,000 2 years later. So I slowly but surely start growing it. And how Roofing Insights was born, I started doing content for roofers on the Storm Group Roofing YouTube channel. And when I did my first hate video on Home Advisor, someone made a comment like, Dmitry, do you think your customers care about this content? And I'm like, you are right. Like roofers all agreed, but I did not want homeowners to listen for me bitching to Home Advisor on the phone, right? There was actually a phone call with a Home Advisor rep. So I said, you are right. And I started a YouTube channel just for roofers. And at that time, Storm Group Roofing already have 1,500 subscribers. And at that time it was huge. I'm like, well, I started from zero. So I started it, and the rest is history. 2 years later, it became bigger than Storm Group Roofing.
I think that's one of the big missteps that roofing companies make. And your business has transformed into a media company, right? And you can sell whatever products you want with that platform. A lot of roofers that I see in the space are trying to almost mimic that, but they still own a roofing company. And the reality is that most businesses, most customers that they sell to, they're selling roofing materials too. So they're still focused on the roofing community at large. And to a large degree, nobody cares about the roofing industry unless you're inside of it. So like what I advise people now on content is just like film what's important to your local area that you can get money from, because that's what you need to actually, you're selling to those people. And I think all too often we're creating channels and information that's already, it's duplicable. It's just the same content over and over. So I think there has to be, in the content space now in 2025, roofers need to focus on their local community and the people that are in it, because that's where your name is made. That's who you sell to. That's what I'm doing personally. I think that's a good piece of advice, because I'm not going to compete with Dmitry Lipinskiy on content. I'm not going to compete with you on the stuff you do. It's not worth my time.
I agree.
And also, you're so much larger.
Well, you can compete. So the way we compete is very unique. We compete, like, I love the competition, but it's a blue ocean out there in the world of content. So what we do, we don't compete, we collaborate, we feed off each other. Like, we need each other. I'll give you an example. Every year I make videos on who makes the best shingle, right? Honestly, I believe that most roofers should have their version of top three shingles I would install on my house. And the reason is because when you like, you know, I'm not God, but people often say, well, Dmitry, who made you authority to review shingles, right? Well, you go ahead and do, like, if you disagree with me, go make your version. If you think GF Timberline is #1 product, go prove your point. This is just my point. Agree to this, react to my video, have your opinion, right? How many auto bloggers out there? You know, every time new car comes out, there's a reviews and stuff. So you might like BMW, I might like Mercedes-Benz. Who cares? You know, it's I'm a thought leader. You can become a thought leader, but you owe it to your customers to buy from you. Because when I go to the dealership, you know, I can go to Honda dealership or Toyota dealership, and what I want that salesperson to do is to sell me his car, and then I'll make a decision. Right. So on YouTube, the same thing. People will listen to me, and they'll listen to 10 other roofers, and honestly, people will agree with some and disagree with others.
That's a good point. You're going to see me make a video like that in the next 60 days. You have my commitment. I think that's a good idea. And that's brilliant.
You know what's cool? One more thing on it. For years, I've been very big on expos. So I would go to IRE and I would just go and, you know, go booth to booth to booth, right? This year, I didn't have a chance. So I feel like I gave birth to so many influencers in the roofing space who goes booth to booth to booth, right? Like this IRE, I've seen probably 20 people with cameras uploading on Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. And I smile because some of the content is so good. I'm like, oh, look at you go. Look, like they're so creative. They're so, like, I don't can't even do it anymore. And there are 20 people who go, and guess what? If you're not going to IRE, you can hop in on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, and you'll see the products from IRE through the eyes of like 20 roofers. And they're all different. You know, we have goofballs, we have serious people, we have boring people, we have super creative people, we have controversial people. I mean, when I see Tim Brown going on the expo and asking people if they believe in 50-year warranty or what's not, right? Yeah. Like, it's controversial questions, but we love that stuff.
Yes, we do. I watch all those videos, and somebody I've been really impressed with, Austin Bloomquist from, man, he's good. And he gets millions of views on his Facebook videos from these things. But he also sells products. I think he sells the ice, the silicone topper for ice, but also a couple other things. I just watched a couple of videos from Best Damn Roofer, which that guy is a nut. But it's entertaining content in a different way that no other roofer is talking about. It's entertaining. And those guys, they bring a different angle to the roofing industry, which I appreciate. Yeah. What do you do for fun?
CrossFit. Like honestly, I travel so much. For me, this is fun. Like doing a podcast, doing for fun travel. I love travel with my family. As a matter of fact, you know, we'll take like 4 or 5 trips a year with my kids and stuff. We just came from Rome, Italy. So every year during spring break, I like to go to another country. For the past 3 years, have big success with it. We went to Dominican Republic, Mexico, and now we went to Europe for the first time. So that was fun. Like when I can completely unplug. And usually I come back from the trip, I book another one. So in August, we're going to Jamaica. So for me, the only time I can relax and do nothing is I'm out of country. My phone does not work. Like travel. For me, travel. Like you get so much richer. Your brain just opens up. You know how you went to India, I went to China. You know, I've traveled quite a few countries. So that's what, if I have I hate fishing. I hate hunting. I never fish. In 20 years in the United States, I've never been fishing and never been hunting. So sauna, cold plunge, CrossFit, and travel. That's my full list.
I went to Jamaica a year and a half ago for the ABC trip. Went down there and it was incredible. You'll like Jamaica a lot. People are very kind. Food is good. It's a good country to go to, so you'll enjoy it. What is the trend you see in the roofing industry that you support the most, besides content? But I know you push people to content all the time, which I also do the same thing. I get calls as well. I get messages from roofers now saying, what should I do with my business? What should I do with my brand? I'm sure you have the same advice that I give. And it's turn the camera on, film a freaking video, and put it on the internet. Like, you'll be surprised about the connections you'll make with people once you start doing that. But you have to it's got to be floor 0 to floor 1. You have to film the first video and just put it out there. And so many roofers, I think, are scared to do that. So besides content, what is a trend you see that you want to push to the forefront?
I think roofers have to become smarter and more organized. Here's what I don't like. I'll tell you one trend that I don't like. Someone opened my eyes yesterday. I talked to the sub. So I have a subcontractor who scheduled a call with me. And for 30 minutes, he was talking to me about how to get more jobs as a sub. He's like, you know, I asked him, do you have a price list? He's like, no, I don't. I usually ask a contractor if they have a price list. And he started telling me how contractors don't pay much, and they're like, here's our price list. So it's a no-win for subs who is a cheap contractor in town. And what I realized is that our subs, you know, they have least amount of leverage in business. If a contractor pays $75 a square and it's not enough, sub kind of, in order to stay busy, he has to take it. So here's what's happening in the industry. You have suppliers who send letters of price increases, you know, every 3-4 months, right? So we're going to just do 7% more, right? But then you have roofers who cannot control that. All right, we're suckers, we'll pay more. But then the way we treat our subs, we just turn around and say, nope, this is what I pay. And I feel like subs, the only way subs can increase their price if they get organized and they come to us and say, you know what, now we're charging $100 a square, which is not happening because a lot of subs charge the same thing, the same way they charged 5 years ago. Unfortunately, and I absolutely hate it, but unfortunately, I see a lot of roofers, smaller guys, and a lot of subs almost being robbed, being more like with the inflation, with the price increases, they're not charging enough and they cannot figure out how to charge enough. Like how to charge more. They cannot, not unlike suppliers or manufacturers, they cannot send letter saying, now I'm getting 10% more. So they charge the same they used to charge. A lot of smaller guys charge the same they used to charge. So we have to organize, we have to take pride in our prices, because I believe we already have some kind of race to the bottom race between subs and smaller guys. Rich is getting richer, and smaller guys are being robbed, and it's very sad to see because they make less money and they work the hardest. So that's what I hate. I feel like as a contractors, I would like to see a recognition of the hard work more. We're glorifying sales, we're glorifying branding, which is all good, but we have to glorify the installer, the crew, those guys.
Agreed.
I think my advice to everybody who's listening, pay attention how much you pay and maybe be better. Be better guy. Maybe pay more. You know, this guy yesterday, I show him directory contractors in his area, and it was very sad to hear. He said, oh, I know that company. They know to pay the least amount. Oh, I know that guy. You know, he's not paying much, right? And that's not the reputation I want to have. I want to have a reputation that I pay fair wages, that if I'm charging more, if I'm paying more for materials, I'm also proactively paying more, which is, if you're an entrepreneur, it's your interest to pay less and make more money. Right. But I feel like the trend that I see is a race to the bottom. Unfortunately, rich is getting richer. And how do we change it? We unitize ourselves. We get together and we say, you know what, enough of this BS. Let's raise the bar all the way from the bottom up. That's what I see. That's what I would like to see as a change.
Those same subs, they have to be perceived for more value. So I'm going to give you an example. I had a sub show up to my shop 2 days ago. Really nice guy, both Hispanic, they're partners, and they showed up and I started talking to them. And I said, show me the pictures of your work. He pulls up his phone. He scrolled, Dmitry, for probably 2 minutes, finding his roofing photos. He goes, I do metal as well. I said, great, show me your work. Scroll, right? Show me your EPDM work. Show me how you finish jobs. How do you communicate? All these things. It was a struggle to communicate what his value add to my company would be and what he presented to me.
I agree.
And so he has to, and he showed up in street clothes, right? He has to be perceived at a value that if he showed up, Dmitry, and had a binder full or had like a presentation to say, let me sit down with you for 5 minutes and talk you through why we're different than any sub you've ever worked with. You've got my attention. But every sub approaches our company the same way. And then I asked him, how much do you charge for your work? Well, how much are you willing to pay? And I always laugh with my CFO when we talk about this because they never want to say their prices first. They always want me to dictate the price. My instant like lever is to say, okay, cool, I'll pay you $50 a square. Oh, no, that's not enough. I'm joking, of course, but I want him to say, no, my minimum price is X. But you should already present that to me because that's what I have to do to my customers. They say, this is the price. I'm not going to my customers and saying, how much would you like to pay for your roof? No, I dictate the terms. And so I think subs, you're right. They have to get smarter and more organized. They have to present themselves in a way that dictates a higher price and be perceived at a higher value.
We started this conversation with the Indian culture. This is actually Mexican culture too. It's very sad, but I'm teaching that. Actually, I committed to myself yesterday. I scripted a video just for the subs, how to charge more as a sub in the roofing industry, because I feel like there's a big lack of education. Nobody's teaching them that, right? And I'm going to make a video giving subs tips. I told this guy, I said, your biggest mistake is not, he would not have a price list. And I asked why. Because he's asking the company for the price list because he doesn't want to scare them away. The problem with that approach is like what we need to understand is also a culture thing. They surrender to contractors like to the boss. They surrender to them like, you're first, I'm second. You're the boss, I'm employed. That's their mentality. They almost want them to tell, like, they're not in the mindset of the business owner where I dictate my price. They surrender. They're like, you're my boss, you're paying me, pay me well. They're beggars in a sense. And it's also a cultural thing. They feel like they're not worthy enough to demand the price. And also it's insecurity. They don't think they'll get what they ask. And they're afraid to ask for that reason.
The interesting thing about that statement is, and that's absolutely true, is that the industry at large would completely crumble without those people. Overnight, it would stop. So who really has the power here? Is it the brands that sell, or is it the actual people who do the work? And so, they do have the power. I think they need to learn how to flex that power a little bit. And like you said, get organized, have a perceived value that's higher than begging for work. Because that instantly, that starts the relationship off on a bad foot.
What I told my sub yesterday, I said, let's say this company pays $75 a square and you need $90 a square. Guess what? If you come to them, say, here's my price, here's what you get from me. There's a price list. I will never walk away from the job. I will never leave you hanging. Exactly. You'll get picture communication, blah, 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 right? And $90. They said no. Okay, next sub comes in. Here's my price list, $90. Just like price increases from suppliers, this will drive their price. How long before that contractor says, you know what, my subs are charging this much? Actually, this is exactly what's happening after the hurricane. After the hurricane, after the hailstorm, we start bidding wars for the subs. And subs just like, nope, I'm charging $120 because they have too much work. It's also supply and demand. And now we're bidding for subs. So it happens after the hailstorms. And it just have to be on a regular basis driven by them. They have to increase the prices.
Supply and demand. Yeah. Let's move to Roofing Process Conference, Dmitry. I really enjoyed both the years I spent at Roofing Process Conference. I think the second year was actually better than the first. And this is one of the main things that I appreciated the most about it, that I know you're very focused on, is that you had buffet lines of food set out. And during those times of getting food with other people, eating food with other people creates conversation. It creates a more personal touch of relationship. And I really enjoyed that piece of it, to getting to know these random people I just sat with a table with, right? And I'm just talking about business and talking about their insights on stuff. How has your life changed since selling Roofing Process Conference to Lance? And do you miss it at all?
Well, so I sold my roofing company in 2020, but I don't feel like I ever left the industry, right? Like, because I'm visiting companies on a regular basis. So I'll answer it like this. What changed to me is like the only thing I love, I don't miss it one bit, and here's why. There's nothing to miss. So I'm not missing the stress of preparing for the conference for 4 weeks out of the year. So the reason I sold it, because I have to go all in last 4 weeks before the conference and sign 12 contracts. You have vendors, you have food, you have venue, you have insurances, you have so many moving parts. It's a lot of stress. You have, like logistics, all of it. You deal with the vendors, right? So there's a community. So 4 weeks out of the year was spent on the conference. What do you enjoy? What everybody sees is 3 days of the conference. I still have it. So I still go, I still network with every vendor, with every attendee, with the speakers, right? So I get the best of both worlds now. I still attend the conference. The only thing that I don't have is, it's not my team who puts it together, it's Len's team, which is the great thing. So my legacy,
better.
Yeah, legacy goes on. I'm still there. I still support it. I promote it, but within my lane. So like, it was taken away from my focus from director in my businesses, and it was putting too much stress. And as a result, you would enjoy the meal with other people. I could not enjoy the meal with other people because every minute someone was pull, right? Last year, actually the first year, I actually enjoyed Roofing Process Conference. I could enjoy the meal with other people like regular attendee because I was not stressed about, paying a vendor or organizing something behind the scenes.
Makes sense. Let's go to one of your other many businesses. The new. So is it Mercy?
So Mercy is a trademark of my underlayment. So the business is BM Direct Supply.
BM Direct, yes.
Yeah. So it's we pretty much sell underlayment direct, but Mercy is a trademark for our underlayment. So pretty much we sell 5 products now. We sell nails, capped nails. We sell high temperature, ice and water. We import from 4 or 5 countries. So we find factories, work with the factory. And my business partner, he's engineer. So he knows every glue, every material. Like we literally will go and create a product and visit the factory in India, in China, in Canada. We'll see the quality, we'll modify the product, and then we either will sell it with your logo, which is white label. So if you want a roof tiger on an underlayment, boom. But if you want something with my logo, like let's say you don't care about the logo and you just want a product, that's where Mercy comes in. So my brand is Mercy, and yeah.
And what's the biggest eye-opening thing you've learned getting into the materials space? I know we've talked about this in the past, but there's many different components of roofing, the roofing industry at large, right? You have salespeople and business owners like myself. You have the content production. You have the suppliers. You have the manufacturers. You have all these different components. You've moved into the manufacturing space. What's the biggest thing you've learned through diving into that?
A roofing manufacturing space is tough. There's a lot of politics. There's too many players, and many players don't have any leverage. What I did not know about this industry is nobody buys direct. Like even like SRS, they'll have like 2 people in between them. That's why prices are so high, because nobody goes directly from factory to. I mean, even white labels. There's too many players. There's shipping company. There's brokers, right? But then the industry, we have, not monopoly per se, but we have players who are so powerful, they don't want to see competition. They don't want you to do the same thing. So it was hard to get in, probably the hardest, but we got through. The thing, what surprised me is buying in bulk for me is common sense. When I had Storm Group Roofing, I had 5-6 pallets of nails because I have my trailers, I have my dumpsters, right? So I figured my math back in 2017. I could save $200-$300 per job if I have a pallet of starter and I put 2 bundles per each job. If you save $200 per job and you do a roof a day, that's $1,000 a week. That's $4,000 a month. That's a lot of savings. What surprised me now, a lot of roofers say, "Oh, I didn't even think about it." How come you not think about it? Like they pay premium price, like 400% markup on accessories, not even thinking about how they can get it cheaper. So I used to buy from Home Depot. I used to buy from Menards. I used to buy in bulk because it's a common business sense. If you owe Papa John's or if you like McDonald's, all big businesses do it. Numbers don't lie. You save a little bit here, but it adds up over time. You control your cost. So for me, it was always common sense. It surprised me how many roofers don't think about it. But now people are waking up. I see. We sell to private equities. We sell to smaller guys, big guys. I mean, you can start with 2, 4, 8 pallets. I mean, it adds up quick.
The biggest challenge to that statement is that now you're not just a roofing company that can have material shipped in. You have to manage inventory levels. And also you have to not misplace those, have people steal from you. There's a lot of different factors into that as well. So I've been having this conversation for a couple of years with my team, but I reached out to a couple different roofers who have tried it, not done it anymore. And they said it's a large time expense. And it's also something that you don't necessarily save as much as what you'd think, because ABC will take the materials back if you don't use them, right? So what's your analysis on that?
Numbers don't lie. So, like, I'll give you one example. In Chicago, CNN Construction. Here's what roofers don't do. Let's talk about ABC. So, you don't do math. You don't do like $5 million business will save $300,000 a year. And for $300,000 a year, you can hire like 3-4 people who will not
You'll
just
save
do
that much, $300,000.
Easy. Are you kidding me?
Wow.
I mean, you pay for every delivery. You pay for every pickup. So yes, they will come and pick it up. But I mean, think about so CNN Construction, and analyze their books. They're a $40-50 million company, but 1 year they were in dispute with ABC Supply. Their dispute amount was $300,000, discrepancy in billing. Because
I see.
And they have every roofer I talk to talks about it. They give you the price list, but when they bill you, what's the last time you analyze or audit your books, what actually is built? They make mistakes all the time. It's just people in the cubicle. So you overpay in general, but you also overpay because you're not staying on top of it. And if you actually calculate the shipping cost, the pickup cost, the storage cost, you pay way more than premium. And accessories is where you pay the most. So you might, on shingles, they might give you a good price, but then on accessories, 300-400% markup, that's where they get you. So you have to be good with your money in general. But if you're doing $10 million a year, it's no brainer. Period. It's just.
This is tying into a conversation you had with Jason Reisman not too long ago about the warranty process with manufacturers, because as you know, if you want to be a certain level of accomplishment with manufacturers, you have to sell their parts with the shingles. So GAF, Certainteed, Malarkey, all of them, they recommend, they don't even recommend it. They require to have 3-4 parts of their manufactured parts to get the warranties. So what's your solution for that? Obviously leading into directory, into other warranties you do.
You can do two things. You can register, directory is one solution, but issuing your own warranty is another. If you put a price on it's a tax. That's what you're doing. If you put away $500 per job and you're doing 30 jobs a month. You do the math. Even $5 million company will put in 1 year $300,000 in a trust fund to cover how many roofs you can cover for $300,000.
Yeah, good point.
Right?
Good point.
And essentially what we're doing, we're giving it to manufacturers to hold, and then at their mercy that they will actually give us back to us in case of claims. That's what's happening. So you can register the jobs at directory.com, which is 1% of the project. Nothing, right? $100,000. It's nothing. It's not a lot of money. And you register the jobs 1%, but you save, saving on accessories and saving on a warranty registration is big. I have one contractor who spent $1 million on warranties and said, no more, I'm done with it, because he has 2 claims and they paid out, but the process was so big. He's like, I paid $1 million and this is the process. I could sit on that money and I could, within 30 days, pay out of pocket, replace those couple of roofs that failed. So
makes sense. The shingles themselves, though, will always be manufactured by these large companies. Would you agree with that? Or are there going to be smaller players who try to move into the industry? Yeah, okay. Because it's such in the shingle industry, I would assume the materials that they use, the plants they have to build, it's such a massive upfront investment that it's not worth exploring. I would
say, the trend that I see is shingle manufacturers are buying metal companies now. Look at the ICO. ICO have purchased 5 or 6 smaller players. So ICO purchased Tilcor, Decra, and there's multiple companies that they've bought. So I feel like GF, ICO, OC, they're going to start buying all the smaller players now. That's already happening.
I didn't know Tilcor was purchased by IKO. Yeah. Who's your favorite entrepreneur to follow? Who kind of shapes your mind for what to do next or how to handle business decisions? Is there somebody you look up to in the space to kind of be a North Star to how you navigate business evolution?
You know what? I don't really read books anymore. I don't follow anybody in particular. What I do is I love books, and I used to I've never used to read books just for the sake of reading books, and I've never followed anyone for the sake of following. There's a lot of people who I like. For me is when I have a problem, I'll find expert in that problem. Like, for example, one of the latest people I really like, Tim Grover, Dan Martell, right? So
Dan Martell's great.
He is amazing. So when I was trying to be more efficient, and I read his book, Buy Back Your Time. So I actually gave it to my assistant. So we implemented. So when I hired a personal assistant, I found Dan Martell to figure out my relationship with my assistant. So we're on the same page. How we manage my calendar, how we operate, how we talk, like all of that stuff. So that's Dan Martell. But I only found Dan Martell because I had that problem. If 5 years ago, if I would follow Dan Martell before I have assistant, it's almost like I don't like to be in theory. So if I want to invest in something, I will go and find like investor. If I need to rethink my content strategy, I'll see what Gary Vee is posting today, and I'll see the latest strategy from Gary Vee. So I only go when my mind is ready to go after, like, for example, I'm preparing for CrossFit games like 1 year from now. So I follow a couple champions in the CrossFit world to structure 1 year of training, but only because I'm training for something. So that's how my brain. When I was preparing for League 8 boxing match, I watch boxers, interviews, podcasts, everything, because I have a problem, and now I have to get in that mindset. How do you beat this guy in the ring, right? But that's how it goes. A problem, and then you find people who have solution for you.
That makes sense. Let's talk about somebody we're both very fond of. So I'll give you some context. I think I've told you this story before. I worked at Verizon for a number of years, 3.5 years, and I was a cell phone salesman working in a retail environment. We had a 45-minute lunch break every day, and I would go back, get my food, sit in the lunch break room, and I would watch The Prophet by Marcus Lemonis every episode. I watched every episode, all the seasons. I used to love that show. So I know that you like Marcus Lemonis. I'm sure you watch the show as well. What was it like working with him for Roofing Process Conference? Did you get a conversation? Did you have a chance to talk with him long form? And what are some things that you learned?
I absolutely love how respectful Marcus to everybody around him. Like, for example, we went to the bathroom in Rosen Center. So we walk in, and there's a guy, just janitor, cleans, right? And he went out of his ways, like, I appreciate your work, sir, right? Like, to me, that speaks volume. And that's Marcus. Like, that's how he is. But seeing it in real life, I absolutely love him. He was genuinely interested in me, in my story. Like, I felt like every compliment he told me, everything he said about the conference, about myself, I felt like it was genuine. It wasn't because we hired him. It wasn't. Sometimes you feel like, okay, he's a paid speaker. What do you expect? That was so real. When he was taking pictures with people, he didn't have to. We were running out of time, but he is like, I'll do it, like, no problem. Because we got 1 hour, we actually got like 1.5 hours from him, and he finished the whole line. It was a huge thing. So when you see people go above and beyond what they're hired for to do, like, that was huge. Like, I mean, you always look at people how they're in real life, and I don't think I've experienced that. It still was in a conference environment, but I followed that guy. Actually, recently, have you heard about flag controversy?
No. Just
2 days ago, so you know how he puts his big American flags?
Oh, this is the big flag at the Camping World.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So he puts the flags everywhere in his business, and there's a town in Tennessee who there's like city ordinance or whatever. They ask him to take it down, and he's like, no, it will stay. We have our business, whatever. And he just made a post on X yesterday or day before yesterday, because I've followed that drama. So he pretty much took it to the city. He's like, no, you can sue me, whatever. It stays here. If I have to take down the flag, we're moving our business out, right? And then he just explained what it meant for him and why. He did a big post with the pictures. He made a post to every city in the United States. Here's why we put flags. He was adopted from Lebanon. He came to the country when he was 9 months old, and his family were in Chevrolet business dealership. And he said, growing up, I've seen this big American flag. For me, it represents American dream, whatever. And he said, of course, as a little boy, I'm like, I'm going to do bigger. My flag is going to be bigger. So it represents his love for United States. He said, this country gave me the ticket to life. I was adopted. I brought here, right? So, and he has this dream where he did the math of all the flags. They put like 224, a couple hundred flags all over the United States. And he said that it's 770,000 square feet, like together. He said, my goal is 1 million square feet of American flags in the country. Like, I want to be a millionaire, in, like, not money millionaire, but in that million, right? So when you read it, like, it's just such a deep meaning. Now you understand. Now you look at the flag differently. I actually love American flags. Everywhere I have, I have an American flag above my fireplace. So you read that, you can relate to it. He's an amazing storyteller. He's very genuine, and he's just passionate. And you would argue that it's a conflict. Like you asked me about conflict earlier. That's the open confrontation. Most business owners like, okay, can't do that. We'll figure something out. Marcus Lemonis is like, oh, I can't do it? Yes, I can. F you. And we're not talking about with another business owner. We're talking about with a city ordinance. Like, would you have balls to go against your local city? You know what I mean? Like, not many people wire that way. Sometimes you have to stand your ground. And guess what? Because of that, we'll love him. We'll love that little drama, little controversy. But someone is on the losing end here. And it's a local city, but it is what it is.
I've learned so much from him. I started my company building out the processes and the people with the 3 Ps: people, process, and profit, or people, process, product. And yes, and I absolutely love that. Every show was so predictable and so the same laid out of how he went in and tried to change the business, that I felt I built my business the same way that he would have built a company if he was there. That's what I hope to do. And so I have so much respect for Marcus Lemonis. I was in Nashville, Tennessee, Dmitry, this is probably 6-7 years ago, for New Year's Eve. And I was driving around the city trying to find a parking space. And I drove by and looked on the sidewalk, and I was like, that's Marcus Lemonis. I literally did a lap around the block, came back. I didn't say anything to him, which I should have, but he was walking with the bodyguard. But it was like one of those moments where I'm just such a fan of him, where I was like starstruck at the concept of seeing him in public. Let's go back to Directory. You started Directory several years ago. Number one, how's it going? What's the growth plans? What's the feedback you're receiving from contractors? What's the path forward for it?
The goal is $100 million in revenue in 5 years as a platform, growing super fast. We're doing a lot of very cool behind the scenes stuff. So like, we have a big team of developers, like 10, 12 people. We're adding new features. It's almost like building YouTube or Facebook. There's always new features, functions, whether it's some text messages within the platforms, or chat or bot or this. We just we're about to announce partnership with the Paykeeper. So we've been working on that for like 4 months, like full integration. Anyway, building trust. That's like the biggest thing. I just did my first radio show, filmed yesterday, airing this Saturday. So the vision for Directory is changing a little bit. I kind of started broad, like we're all over the United States. We have 12,000 contractors on the platform. We're everywhere, but it's very hard. Like, what people don't realize, platforms like even Uber, very segmented. Like, for example, Uber, if you go to San Francisco, you're going to have no problem getting Uber. But 3 hours from San Francisco, there's not a lot of repetition business. You might not get any. Not because Uber doesn't advertise, but because there's not enough repetition business for the drivers even to have. So we have the same problem. I have leads all over the United States, Florida, Pennsylvania, you name it. But if you're the contractor 3 hours from, major city, I might have leads there and might not have contractors, or vice versa. So like 50% of our stuff still have to be manual. So sometimes we have a homeowner and we don't have a contractor. Sometimes we have a contractor and don't have a homeowner. It's hard to be national. So Tommy Mello gave me this advice after the conference last year. He said, go all in on your town. Before you go everywhere, dominate your city. So that's what I'm doing. I launched this radio show. We're going to be very big in Minneapolis. I'm going all in.
Smart.
We're not stopping anywhere. We have a call centers now. Just last few days, we registered quite a few jobs with the call center. So now a homeowner comes to us, call center, make sure we schedule appointments with our contractors. They sign a contract, we get paid, directory gets paid, our small commission, contractor gets the job after, they sign. So overall, lots of positive things. Like I cannot name anything. Like negative would be growing too slow in United States, but very big in here. And I'm working on the big partnerships right now. We might partner with another company, cannot announce it yet, but I'm flying to Dallas next week. And if I do that, that's going to be a huge merger for us.
Good for you. And the radio show, how did it go yesterday? What's the difference of speaking on the radio versus YouTube or video?
I think so. The radio show, I'm targeting.
You do have a face for radio.
Thank you. So listen, here's what I have. That's something my kids would say. I'm changing my content a lot this year. So in the last 5 years, 90% of my content was for roofers, 10% was for the homeowners. This year, I'm going 80% for the homeowners, 20% for contractors. So if you follow my stories, like even today's story, I just published a video about vandalism. Can contractors take their jobs? So all the stories we pick, it's stories with the target audience being homeowners. It's all about homeowner for me right now. And I feel like if I reach the homeowner, contractors will follow. If I help a homeowner, if I get a homeowner on the line, not a contractor, and a homeowner sharing his horrible experience with a contractor, and then I recommend him solve his problem and recommend him good contractor, I feel like I still will get a contractor. Contractor not going to unfollow me if I talk to the homeowners, but that's the vision. So to answer your question, what's the difference? Number one is a status. I'm a radio host versus I'm a YouTuber. I feel like for the homeowners, it's easier to talk to, like, it's actually very cool. Yesterday, I have a first guest, and it was so cool. He scheduled a call with me. He paid, there's a company in Florida, Seymour Construction, bullying him for $22,000 cancellation fee, right? And he scheduled a call with me to ask advice. And I said, hey, I'm actually recording my first radio show. Can I call you on the show? He was hesitant first, but then he loved, he did it. So we spoke 20 minutes and I gave him advice. But think about this, like there's a homeowner calling with a real problem. But now he's talking to the radio show on the radio, right? I think older demographics understand radio more. I know youngster, yes. we don't listen, but whatever. I think I'm still going to capture YouTube with it because every episode is still going to be on YouTube. But it's just instant credibility for a lot of people who I'm not reaching with the YouTube channel. So that's what it gives me.
The back and forth on a radio show as well. I'm not sure if you're familiar on TikTok, like these videos pop up on my feed quite a bit. But it's like two radio hosts describing a story. It's like somebody wrote a story about something crazy that happened, and they read the story and they comment on it. Have you heard about this?
Yeah.
Those videos blow up, and they suck me in because you're waiting for the plot. You're waiting for the plot to thicken. You're waiting for the conclusion. It's kind of like having a story told to you. And since it's not a video of the story happening, all you're doing is listening to the radio host describe it. Which it's a very powerful medium to have the video stripped from it and just have the people listen. You're just listening to somebody tell something.
I almost feel like it's coming back. I listen on TikTok, Jubal in the morning, the second date update,
yes.
Right? Like,
yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
yes,
all the way to the end.
Yes.
And the show stopped 10 years ago. Like the show is no longer on the radio. It's a recycle of old stuff. That's exactly. And the same going to happen with us. Like people going to share their stories. And I started doing it this year, like, Render the Roofer episode. After I aired that episode, I have 3 more homeowners in Minneapolis reaching out saying, I have a similar problem.
Those videos, dude, they'll stop them on part 1 and they'll leave it on a cliffhanger. I'm going to that profile. I'm watching part 2, part 3, part 4. I'm listening the whole way through.
I agree.
And it's just, it brings a level of investment that video is so easily scrollable once something comes less interesting. But listening to the radio or a story being told in audio is like reading a book. It's like you're listening to the book and the story being told. It's an amazing, I don't know. There's something that scratches that part of my brain that I really enjoy.
I agree 100%.
Yeah. So wrapping this whole thing up, Dmitry, what do you want to leave the people? If you had one thing to say to the roofing community at large, what would it be?
Here's my message to the roofing companies and like to the industry in general. I see a lot of evil. I see a lot of bad practices. Insurance companies doing bad stuff. Suppliers, like competition does bad stuff. You might see it all. Sometimes it feels overwhelming that, if you run a business and someone steals your yard signs or maybe steals your jobs or waives the deductible, so insurance company's not paying, right? Do what's right no matter of how bad everything else is around. Always do what's right. Maybe lose money. Like if you have opportunity to do what's right, never go to that level. If insurance company is screwing you, it doesn't give you right to create a damage for approval. It doesn't. If insurance overpaid you, you don't get to keep it. Your name and your reputation is all you have. Maybe you're the only contractor in town who does it, but sooner or later, truth will always come out. It's not worth to compromise integrity. It's not worth to do how many times I've paid people back or I refunded people because they asked for it. I'll give you an example, even with the roofing process conference, most of my competition, once the sale is done, you'll never see their money back, right? For me, I never have no refund policy. And even if I did, I still give money back. The reason is because I always put myself okay, if I paid someone and for some reason I have to cancel, right? What's the right thing to do? And I always give money people back, not because I have it. Sometimes I didn't, but because I put myself in that person's shoes and I'm like, how would I want to be treated in this situation? And that's what's missing in the industry. People become tough, rough, and I've seen roofers start doing bad things on the roofs because insurance companies got in under their skins finally. It's like, what about them? Well, I don't care what about them. What about you? You do what's right. You will sleep at night and your business will grow. Maybe not overnight, but you will grow. The right thing to do is always the best thing to do.
That's good. No, I 1,000,000% agree with that. And in an industry full of corruption, it is a simple but effective business strategy to just follow your North Star of your integrity and do the right things always. I think that alone makes people stand out in an industry where there's failure, there's fraud, there's corruption. I 100% agree with that. Dmitry, I really appreciate you coming on, man. I consider you somebody that I look to for what's the trend and how can I follow. And I appreciate you being fearless in your pursuit of your life. If anything, broader than the roofing industry, your story of coming from a different country, coming here to the United States and becoming the #1 YouTuber in the roofing community and what you've built is impressive. And I really want to give you your flowers there because I think that we can get caught up in the minutia of business all too often, but what you've accomplished on a personal level is very impressive and I respect it.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah. Thank you, Dmitry. We'll be in touch here soon. And thanks for coming on, my friend.
Sounds good, brother.
All right, buddy.